Welcome back to the Crypto Channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is still struggling at this major resistance, but just over the last one day, we played out a perfect retest as expected. But with that being said, despite Bitcoin playing out that retest, we still have a lot of liquidity building just above the price of Bitcoin, which we need to pay attention to as the next major target in the short term for Bitcoin, which is one of the reasons as to why I'm still currently longing the price of Bitcoin. So in just a moment, I'll be sharing my exact trading strategy moving forward, sharing with you exactly how I'm planning to make a lot of profits from the next Bitcoin move coming very soon, while Ethereum is now running into a crucial area on the price chart, at least in the short term, while the price of Solana is also now retesting this key Fibonacci level. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin and crypto charts today, taking a look at some Bitcoin news today, because a matter of hours ago, Michael Saylor just once again announced that Strategy, previously known as MicroStrategy, has just bought more Bitcoin. This time around, they bought around 525 Bitcoin for approximately $60 million US. And Strategy here bought this Bitcoin at an average price of around 114.5K per Bitcoin. So essentially, while people are panic selling on these little dips like this, for example, Bitcoin whales, large companies out there, are continuing to scoop up large amounts of Bitcoin basically anytime they can, anytime we see a dip in the price of Bitcoin. And so as I've explained many times in previous videos here in the channel in more detail, over the long term, if this ultimately keeps up, this can cause a supply squeeze, basically meaning it's going to force the price of Bitcoin towards the upside as there's less Bitcoin available to buy. But remember, that's over the long term, as in multiple years, not a short-term signal. So these purchases right here don't necessarily have a massive impact in the immediate short term as they are happening. But once again, with this trend ultimately continuing of Strategy and other large companies like this accumulating large amounts of Bitcoin over the long term, this can force Bitcoin towards the upside in terms of the price of Bitcoin. And with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin price charts today on the weekly time frame, the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bull market. But obviously on this weekly Bitcoin price chart, we still have a massive bearish divergence to watch out for, which has not yet been invalidated, so it's technically still active. And if we're taking a look at this 3-day Bitcoin price chart, we're potentially less than a week now, maybe a few days, for example, away from actually confirming a bullish crossover in the 3-day Bitcoin MACD. So in other words, we're getting closer towards a bullish crossover, as I've already been saying every day for over a week now on the channel. For almost 2 weeks, I've been saying we're now finally starting to regain a little bit of bullish momentum, at least in the short term here. We're likely going to see a little bit more of a short-term recovery. And so overall, not a lot has changed on the larger timeframes over the last one day. And if we're taking a look at the daily Bitcoin price chart, we're still struggling around this significant resistance at give or take 117,000. And we also have this level of support at around 113.5K. More support at around 110,000 and major support in this area in between 106.7K to 107.6K. And zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the 4-hour time frame, technically speaking, despite the latest rejection and struggle around this resistance, we're technically still within a short-term bullish trend, forming higher lows and higher highs. And so at least for now, we have not yet confirmed any strong reversal signals to actually flip this trend back into a new bearish trend like what we saw back here, for example. So simply, we are right now running into this major resistance, which I've already been warning about for a long time, since well before we even hit this level. I've been saying expect a lot of resistance, a lot of struggle for the price of Bitcoin, and possible rejections from within this area in between around 116.5K to 117,000 is the area that I've been targeting since basically 112K to 113K. And so basically continue to expect a lot of resistance and possible rejections from the exact area that I've already been targeting once again. But if we can eventually at some point break out above 117,000 with confirmation, so at least candle closes on the 4-hour time frame, ideally a daily candle close above around 117,000 and actually holding above that level, in that situation the next major target would be at around 120,000, and beyond that level I'll be targeting the all-time high. And obviously over the last one day since my last video here on the channel, we did ultimately see a another short-term bullish move to retest this resistance and see another rejection as predicted. Obviously, if you watched my last video before that move, I said get ready, very soon we're going to see a short-term bullish move to retest close to 117,000 and then still expect resistance around that level. And the reason why I perfectly predicted that move was thanks to this Bitcoin liquidation heat map still playing out as expected. And so once again, if you watched my last 1 to 2 videos here on the channel, we had liquidity revealing at just underneath 117,000, around 116.7k, give or take, right around there. So ultimately that caused the price of Bitcoin, or was at least one of the major reasons as to why Bitcoin saw that short-term bullish move to retest close to this resistance at 117,000, but still struggle at that level considering it's still strong resistance. But now that that move has perfectly played out as predicted here on the channel, of course, we still have more liquidity building in the Bitcoin liquidation heat map above the price of Bitcoin, this time around sitting very close to 117,000, around 116.9k towards around 117.2k. So roughly 117,000. We still have a lot of liquidity building right around that level, which once again could still likely act as strong resistance. And so it is still quite likely, once again, no such thing as a 100% guarantee, but it is very likely at some point very soon, maybe over the next one day, maybe over the next couple of days, at some point here in the short term, it is quite likely we could see another little retest closer towards this resistance again. And then once again, considering it's still resistance, it's possible we could still struggle around this area. And so putting all of this information together into a trading strategy, personally, I'm still currently long on the price of Bitcoin, as I've been sharing very transparently here on the channel from the moment I entered the long position right around here at around 112k, 113k. Once again, as I've been saying ever since 112 to 113,000, I've been targeting close to 117,000. In between 116.5k to 117,000 has been the target ever since 112 to 113k. And so considering we already reached into my exact area right here and started to reject from that area, of course, as I shared a few days ago, I already secured some profits out of this long position, as you can see right here, reducing the size of the trade, but not closing the entire trade, considering at least for now, we're technically still within a short-term bullish trend. We've not yet confirmed a trend reversal signal. And so right now, obviously, I still have my stop loss sitting in profit. So even in the worst case scenario, if we just crash for whatever reason, they'll hit the stop loss and automatically close the trade at that level in profits, on top of the fact that I've already secured these profits right here. And in terms of other possible take profit points or other entry points, obviously, if we continue to see more bullish price action, maybe it closer towards 117,000, especially if we wipe out this liquidity and don't really form any new liquidity above the price and still struggle around this resistance, I may look to take a little bit more profits off the table around here. But once again, not necessarily closing the entire trade as I did just a few days ago. I closed a portion of the trade right around here, securing some profits off the table, because back then at close to 170,000, I predicted obviously this short-term rejection or struggle around resistance. But once again, there's still the possibility we could ultimately break out above the resistance at some point, which is why I don't close the entire trade at any one level, just reducing the size of the trade at key points of resistance along the way towards the upside in case we reject. But then once again, if we break out, I still want to profit from that potential move, which is why I still have some of the trade open. And so if we ultimately break out above 117,000, in that situation, the next major take profit point would be just before 120,000, basically at around 119.8k, give or take, just underneath 120,000 would be the next major take profit point, at least for me in this Bitcoin long position. But as always, nothing that I say is personal financial advice, because I don't know your personal financial situation. I'm just letting you know very transparently here on the channel what I'm doing with my own money and revealing exactly how to make a lot of easy profits in the market, like what I'm doing right here. And in case you're wondering, I've also not touched my 2-bit long position over the last one day. So still currently a $100,000 Bitcoin long position over on 2-bit, stop loss sitting in some slight profits, along with my Bitcoin long position over on my BTNX account. Once again, roughly the same position, a 100k Bitcoin long position with a stop loss sitting in some slight profits. And if you want to take these trades for yourself to make a lot of easy profits in the crypto market, you have to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And personally, I'm taking this trade right here over on BTNX. So I'll make sure to leave a link to BTNX below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page where you can claim massive bonuses up to 25,000 USDT in trading bonuses. And there's also exclusive deposit bonuses that you can only claim using the link below this video to BTNX. And in case case you're wondering, BTNX is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want BTNX as an exchange, once again, my other Bitcoin long position I have open on my 2bit account. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here, where you can also claim massive trading and deposit bonuses. And so simply just by making an account using that link and starting to trade over on 2bit, you can get up to 10,000 USDT in trial fund bonuses and 8,000 in withdrawable USDT. So obviously major bonuses, essentially free money from the exchange just by trading crypto, but only if you use that link. And on top of those major trading bonuses, there's also a sign up bonus here. So without depositing any funds or making any trade, if you simply just make an account, take 60 seconds to do this using that second link below this video to 2bit, you get a free $30 bonus onto your account from the exchange, and also 1 month free VIP 3 upgrades. So basically cheaper trading fees for 1 entire month without making any deposits or anything like that, just simply by using the link below this video to 2bit. And so obviously, if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check out these exchanges that I'm trading on right now. And if you use those links below this video to those exchanges, you can claim extra bonuses and fee discounts and things like that that are exclusive to those links. But with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart on the 3-day time frame, and technically speaking, the larger pullback is still intact. We've not yet confirmed a massive bullish trend reversal signal or anything like that. But it is worth pointing out a possible short-term bullish divergence here in the Bitcoin dominance, which could slightly be more visible on some slightly smaller time frames. But here on the 3-day time frame, it is still somewhat visible, with lower lows clearly confirmed in the price and the candle closes in the Bitcoin dominance here, and some very slight higher lows starting to form in the RSI for the Bitcoin dominance on the 3-day time frame. And now I want to make it clear, this is not currently confirmed, but if it confirms, it could possibly result in a little bit more of a shorter term bullish relief for the Bitcoin dominance in the coming days, maybe for a week or two. So while that would possibly play out here, if we see more of a bounce or a bullish relief in the Bitcoin dominance, while that's playing out, that's not really good news for the altcoin market. And so keep this in mind. This could definitely be a signal to watch out for in the coming days. And of course, I'll keep you up to date on what's happening in the Bitcoin dominance in the coming days here on the channel. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, right now Ethereum is still bouncing around in the same sideways price range that I've been talking about for weeks now on the channel, in between this support and this resistance. First of all, in case you're new to the channel, this area of support is still sitting in between around 3.9k to 4.1k, and this area of resistance starts at close to 4.8k and goes up towards around 4.9k. And so honestly, Ethereum, in terms of the shorter term trend, at least for now, is actually looking very neutral. We're basically in a sideways price range, just bouncing around sideways between support and resistance. But if we're zooming further into the short term, taking a look at the 4-hour time frame, as of recording this video right now, Ethereum is currently being supported and possibly starting to bounce from this key area on the price chart, at least in the short term, sitting in between around 4480 to 4.5k. So roughly 4,500 and slightly underneath 4,500. We have a lot of short-term support here based on previous important resistance in the short term, flipping into new support. And so this is kind of the halfway point in this larger sideways price range here, between roughly 4,000 to almost 5,000. Obviously, roughly 4,500 is this halfway point, where that is also a key level on the price chart to pay attention to, currently short-term support. But if the price of Ethereum actually confirms candle closes below around 4480, and especially if we fail to get back above that area, flipping it back into new resistance again, in that situation, that would significantly increase the probability we could see another test of these lows right here, which will likely act as very strong support in between around 4250 to 4280. So just under 4.3k, acting as strong support, once again, only if we first confirm a break below 4480. And if the price of Ethereum confirms that break back below 4480, it's possible the price is just simply falling back into this previous sideways price range. As we could see back here, we were basically just bouncing around sideways between support and resistance in that shorter term range. But whether or not we break this area right here in the short term, once again, we're still within this larger sideways price range here on the 3-day time frame, looking very neutral. And if we're taking a look at the price of Solana on the 2-day time frame, clearly in terms of the longer term trend or the larger price structure, still currently looking very bullish, no doubt about that. But with that being said, of course, we're now coming in for a retest of this key Fibonacci level here, sitting at roughly $230. And so obviously it'll be very important for the price of Solana to now hold above 230, because obviously there'll be bullish price structure breaking out above a Fibonacci level and actually holding above that, holding it as new support. That is very bullish price structure. And in that situation, if we can now hold above 230 as support, it's quite likely that in the coming weeks we'll ultimately see a move up towards roughly $260 as the next major target if we can now hold above 230. But let's just say if the price breaks back below $230 in that situation, especially if we confirm candle closes below 230, and especially if we fail to get back above that level, in that situation, the next major target towards the downside point of support to watch out for would be sitting at roughly 215 to 216. And below that level, we have this major area here in between 190 to 200. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, technically speaking, despite what happens on slightly smaller time frames, we still have a massive bearish divergence to watch out for, which we cannot ignore, technically still active on the weekly XRP price chart. But if we're taking a look at the daily XRP price chart, obviously the price is still somewhat struggling at roughly 310. Obviously, we made it slightly above 310 just a couple of days ago, but still somewhat struggling around that area. But if we can actually see a proper breakout and actually hold above 310, in that situation, the next major area of resistance to watch out for is in between around 330 to 340. And as for support, if we were to continue a bit more of a pullback here, in that situation, the next key support to watch out for is in between 285 to 290. And below that, we have major support at these lows right here at around 275. But overall, in terms of the somewhat shorter term, short to mid-term price structure, we're actually looking now relatively neutral for the price of XRP in a bit of a sideways price range, as we can see. And if we're taking a look at this daily XRP price chart, obviously a few days ago, almost a week ago now, we already confirmed this breakout for this descending triangle pattern with a bullish price target in play at roughly $3.80. But as I've been saying the entire time, I want to make it clear, even though we have this major price target here, it's unlikely the price will just go straight there. It's much more likely we'll find resistance along the way where the price could possibly struggle at or reject from. And so once again, we still have a lot of resistance right here on the price chart at roughly 310, slightly above 310 more recently. And if we're taking a look at these highs right here, once again, that's still sitting at just above 330 as another significant point of resistance. And as for short-term support, we now ideally need to hold above at least 295, ideally above $3. But basically, if we start breaking below, especially $2.90 below this Fibonacci level here, that would be very bad news for the price of XRP, at least in the short term for the following days or possibly weeks. But essentially, if we break back below around 290, 295, that would invalidate this breakout for this triangle pattern, therefore invalidating this price target. And so this is definitely a make or break moment for the price of XRP, at least when we're talking about the somewhat shorter term here. We need to hold above these crucial levels here. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, it's also looking likely that Chainlink is coming in for a retest of this key Fibonacci level of support, sitting at just above $22, really in between roughly $22.20 to $22.40 as a major level or area of support. And it's definitely very important for the price of Chainlink to hold above these lows right here at just above $22, because if, for example, we break below these lows after now possibly forming a lower high, obviously that'll be a bit of a breakdown in the larger bullish price structure, potentially starting to form some more bearish price structure. And so in that situation, if we break below these lows at just above $22, so if we break below really $22, it's extremely likely we'd actually see a move at least down towards roughly $20 as the next major support for the price of Chainlink. But once again, for now, we're still holding above these lows, still holding well above $22, which is still good news for the price of Chainlink while this is the case. And as for resistance, obviously continue to expect resistance at just above $25, around $25.20, and major resistance as we get closer towards $27, really in between roughly $26.80 to $27, acting as strong resistance, which I've been warning about here on the channel since before we perfectly rejected from that area all the way back here. But as I always say, not just for Chainlink, but all of these altcoins here, definitely pay attention to not just the price of Bitcoin, but also the Bitcoin dominance, because like I said earlier in the video, in recent videos here on the channel, if we were to see perhaps a little bit more of a bullish relief in the short term in the Bitcoin dominance, that could cause a little bit more of a pullback for some of these altcoins just in the shorter term. But for now, that is my current trading strategy for Bitcoin, and of course looking at the key levels on the price chart to watch out for. And if you want to take these trades for yourself, once again, check out the links below this video to these exchanges if you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can take trades just like this for yourself to make a lot of easy profits in the crypto market, no matter what the price is doing, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.